I think the most important skill I've gained is time management. Like as an undergrad, I was like the king of procrastination. The favorite story I have from undergrad is like I had a final paper due the same time as the final exam, but I didn't start. It was an 8-page paper. I didn't start until midnight. Before the exam was at 8 a.m. I started the paper at midnight, and I finished the paper at 5 a.m. I studied for the exam for 2 hours, and then took the exam. I showed up an hour late to the exam, and I got 98% on it. But that's horrifically bad form. I don't recommend anyone doing that. That's kind of like how I operate in undergrad. But starting grad school, you can't. It gets harder and harder to do that effectively in grad school, because the professors can sniff bullshit a mile away, and they're not afraid to call you out on it because you're a grad student.
I've gained a lot of skills. I mean, I went from not being. The last time I was in a workshop, like a wood shop type of workshop, was like in 7th grade, and it was a really controlled environment. And then now I go into a workshop with like a table saw and a drill press and chop saw and stuff like that, and I know exactly how to work those. And then I also know how to work these DLC cameras that are filming me. And then from my experience in undergrad in the computational lab, I knew a bit about coding, but now I feel like I'm on the way to being able to be a more versatile coder.
I feel like I've gained I guess networking skills, or talking to people, communicating to people to either answer a question that you have, or if they have some sort of technique that you want to learn. I have felt more comfortable reaching out to people in that way. And also I feel like I've just become more confident as well, I think, because of that. So yeah, those are probably what I've gained.
So hard skills, I definitely feel like I picked up, how to code, and honestly how to solder, and just even play around with different things with my hands and build things that I need. Because in grad school, what you find is that sometimes what your project is asking you to do, no one's done before, and so you need something that's specific to your project. So I've built a lot of things for my setup and stuff, and that was really cool to learn how to use these tools or pieces of equipment. And then soft skills, obviously you're presenting all the time, you're communicating with people. I feel like my interpersonal skills have increased a lot, and especially in regards to managing people and my own time as well. But when you mentor undergrads, that's something that I think is really important no matter what career trajectory you're gonna go, because if you stay in academia, you're gonna end up being a PI or an advisor and have those postdocs and graduate students and undergraduates, looking up to you to give them guidance on their own projects. And then in industry, it's the same thing. Hopefully you'll be a project leader or something like that, team leader, and kind of be managing a group of people. And so I found, those types of mentorship relationships with undergraduate student researchers really rewarding.
I think a lot of communication skills. 210 is a great place to learn how to give good talks, mostly to see good talks being given. So really lovely way to learn how to put together a slide that's not gonna bore the shit out of your audience. Really good way to learn how to tell a story about your research so that you don't lose your audience. I've also learned a lot of outreach tools and ways to get involved in and ways to look at social justice issues, which I was not expecting, but Phys Group has been a super awesome place where a lot of those skills get fostered and encouraged.
I think the really important thing is learning to talk to other people is the most important thing actually as a scientist. Is you forget when you're staring at a computer oh, I'm just doing this one thing, this one task, that you forget there's this whole world of science out there that you need to connect your research to it. And our department is really good at like trying to force us to do that, at least the grad students.
I think I've slowly have grown as a speaker. I think when I got here I was pretty shy and like a nervous mess, and I don't know, I think this program has really like pushed me to grow on that aspect to where I still get nervous, but I can be better at it than I was in the past.
Skills that I gained from this program, probably following protocols, also being able to transfer the techniques that I've already learned to a different process or study organism.
I never knew anything about coding before I started. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I did do a little bit of like MATLAB coding, but it was all like a postdoc had written a script, told me what to do, and I would just do it. I'd never like written my own code before, and I feel really confident doing that. I also feel like I've gained the ability to like learn those types of languages or techniques really fast. Like once you kind of know a little bit of one, it's really easy to learn kind of some other languages. So I feel pretty confident that if I ever wanted to like just learn a different program or something like that, it would be pretty easy to do. And I feel like also my analytical skills have just gone like above and beyond what they were when I started. And I think a lot of that has to do not just with like the research that you're doing, but the environment that you're in. So like 210 especially has been tremendously important to me. Like I don't feel like I would be the same type of scientist that I am if I was somewhere else without that sort of constructive critique consistently. So that's been really important.
One of the biggest skills I think I've learned in grad school in general was just like how and when to speak up. You know, you know me, and I'm generally pretty quiet and stuff. In undergrad, it was like a lot worse, you know. But graduate school kind of gave me like the confidence to speak, you know, like in front of people, which is hard. You know, that's one of people's worst fears is public speaking. So it really gets you used to communicating something with your audience, which I think is just a valuable skill. That's one of the most valuable that I've personally learned. But you also learn just a bunch of things you maybe didn't think you would learn. I've learned basic coding tasks in MATLAB, and I didn't have any computer science or coding experience prior to graduate school, and it was something I thought I would just never learn or need to learn, or just something I couldn't take on. But it just happens so naturally in grad school when you have a project you're passionate about and you need to learn that to analyze your data. It gives you the incentive you need to learn those things, and again, it kind of goes back to asking for help. Like, that's the biggest one, and it's hard to do. It's especially if you don't feel like necessarily you earned your spot in graduate school for whatever reasons. Asking for help can be very difficult, and it's one of those things that I just encourage people to get over quickly.